Trump is going to be missing the first debate. Let's first kind of set the groundwork for like what actually is going on. What is the news about Donald Trump and the GOP debate? And let's go with this first clip from CNN.
Right. Well, good morning, Poppy. And yes, you're right. All indications that I'm getting from Donald Trump's team is that he is not going to participate in that debate next week. Of course, with the hedge, which I included in the story, is that this is Donald Trump we're talking about. I've covered him for years, and his team tells me that there's always a small chance that he may decide in the 11th hour that he ultimately wants to go. Of course, there's logistical questions to whether he would even be able to do that, but most likely he will not be on that debate stage next week. And instead, Donald Trump himself has been personally throwing out ideas for counter programming. There have been discussions between Donald Trump's team and Tucker Carlson about an interview around the same time on Wednesday. Of course, this all comes as Donald Trump is feuding openly with Fox News and Rupert Murdoch. And
now that is something I'm sure we might have covered a story or it was part of a story, but I don't remember Donald Trump feuding with Rupert Murdoch. But this could be, I mean, it's one of many reasons why he's not going to be attending, or he said he's not going to be attending the first debate. He's looking at it or he's putting out there that it's a strategic reason, but it could be also this petty reason. And let's be all honest, Donald Trump is not beneath being petty. Like, he is petty. I think that's part of his appeal. Some people do like how he's petty in some things, calling him, Sleepy Joe and something Nancy, giving everybody these nicknames. So, but let's continue with the clip. It's about 30 seconds left, just to give us the grounding of what the story's about.
Tucker Carlson clearly has left Fox News. And so some motivations there, I think, behind the scenes. I'm also told that Donald Trump's team wants some of his surrogates to represent him at the debate, especially if he is not there. People like Byron Donalds, a congressman from Florida, as well as Matt Gaetz, another congressman from Florida, and Carrie Lake, the gubernatorial candidate in Arizona. All of these people potentially there to represent him in his absence. And one more thing, Poppy, that I find really interesting that I've been picking up in my conversations is that Donald Trump has been telling people, this week even, that there was a dinner last month where Fox News executives, the president, Jay Wallace, as well as their chief executive, Suzanne Scott, they traveled to Bedminster and encouraged Donald Trump to participate in the debate. And Trump personally is telling people he thinks that shows that Fox is worried about ratings without him. And so he's feeling like he's in a strong position not to attend.
Could you imagine? You have Fox News, and I got another clip to put up. I'll bring this down. Fox News is desperate for ratings. This just tells the clown show of our politics. They're not saying, hey, man, the people want to hear your ideas. Get your ass out there to the debates. They're saying our ratings. That's what they're worried about. And it's funny, CNN talks about, that was a CNN clip. I'm sorry, MSNBC talks about the same thing, and everything always leads to ratings. Oh, they're going to lose.
Yeah, remember CJ. There was a lot of people in liberal media that was competitors to CNN that was pretending that they had a moral objection towards the CNN town hall with Donald Trump. Do you remember that? When everyone was saying CNN has been irresponsible. No, these motherfuckers was mad because CNN crushed it that night in ratings. One of the few nights they crushed it in ratings. So that was what it really is. They was afraid that they didn't pull the trigger, and they can't pull the trigger because they know that MSNBC know that they will get canceled by their own liberal audience that they cultivated if they put Trump town hall. So since they didn't pull the trigger like CNN did, they attacked them because like these motherfuckers about to benefit from the ratings boo. That's what it's all about. It's about ratings.
It's about
I
ratings,
said earlier that my substantive critique of Trump's decision, and I think we can hold multiple beliefs at once here because I think the liberals melting down and trying to call Trump a coward for not debating is hypocrisy, considering that Joe Biden and Democrats are blocking debates. But at the same time, I believe that Joe Biden should debate the same way I think that Donald Trump should debate. Why? It's the same reason why I believe that Peter Hotez should debate RFK Jr. I think that Trump, and we've playing on this show, why we believe that Trump prosecution is full of shit. It's a political weaponization. But if you're running in a democracy and you're trying to be the leader, you need to defend your position against opposition. Yes. I need to see Donald Trump go address Chris Christie's attack on him. I need Donald Trump to address Chris Christie's criticism of his Ukraine position. That's what I want to see. And we cannot enable this culture where politicians are afraid to debate, no matter what the situation is, no matter what side you land on. The same way I criticize Nancy Pelosi for refusing to debate Shahid Buttar. The same way we should criticize Trump for this. You need to defend your damn positions if you want to be leader of this country. And you making this excuse that it's not politically advantageous of me to debate is completely irrelevant. What does that have to do with me and you, CJ?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the people that has to vote and has to. Yeah, it has nothing to do. But I think it speaks to Nick, or I don't think it speaks to the ridiculousness and the stupid sort of or the low level intellect of our politics. It is. I mean, and then we're talking about debates, and let's be serious. What we have here aren't really debates, man.
Absolutely.
You don't have you have 60 seconds to answer a question and 30-second follow-up. That's not a conversation. What we do, Nick, is a conversation, and we're only two people. You add a moderator, these conversations aren't. What I do find is that the vice presidential debates are usually a little more. I'm going to say everything more.
Yeah,
a little more substance. Yeah, a little more substantive than these other debates. But it's literally just like one-line ringers. It's like it's nothing substantive. Nobody and everybody's. They're not going to talk about the issues because the moderator, everybody in participating in the debate, Nick, from the people on stage, usually if it's red or blue team, to the moderator, to the commercial, to the company that runs the mic, everybody has a vested interest in the blue or red team staying in power. So all the questions are going to be in that sort of realm. None of the questions, they're not going to be getting to none of the root causes of anything, of poverty, just fluff for us to come out and vote. Now, this is a less than 1 minute video, but of course we have to throw in state media. Jen Psaki's clip here and her comments. Her show gotta be doing terrible in the ratings. I can't imagine her show is doing well, because even she is, like maybe by the shit libs, but she's just not good on camera.
I will say this. I would guess that her show does better than most MSNBC shows, but that's not good though.
That's not saying much.
Yeah, if it didn't disprove your point, I would my guess. I don't know the numbers, but my guess is that her show does better than most, but still not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead. Yeah. That's my guess.
Yeah, let's listen.
What do you think is like the best fine-tuned case on all of these legal issues and indictments that anyone running against him should be making?
Well, I think, first of all, the idea that he's not going to be attending this debate because he has to report to jail almost speaks for itself. And I mean, the jokes in this debate could write themselves if the candidates are willing to go on the attack. And the difference between this debate and a debate with a Democrat or what the Biden campaign messaging can be is that the Biden campaign is not going to be ambivalent about whether to take on the fact that Donald Trump is missing from the debate stage because he's planning his next arraignment. That is, that's going to be an easy message. I think for the candidates on Wednesday, it is awfully hard, especially.
You see how much they're depending on Chris Christie to be there. You see why he's a plant. Chris Christie may be the only one that's going to stand up on that stage who has qualified, because the other ones that'll criticize him on these things, they haven't qualified. Yeah, Chris Christie may be the only one that's going to get up on stage and actually bring up all of these indictments as a negative and criticize the actual charges. Everybody else is going to be like, this is a weaponization. You see why they had to have Chris Christie. They had to have a plan.
We talked about that.
They could not have. Go ahead.
Sorry, CJ, but we talked about how Chris Christie is the liberal media plant, and he hit that 5%. Because those are the never Trump Republicans who tune into Morning Joe. You know what I mean? And we explained many times the anti-Trump Republicans are insignificant despite the media narrative. So he get that 5% because those are the 5% who want to see the hammered anti-Trump dialogue. Now this is my prediction. I may be right or wrong here, but I'm making a prediction here because I've seen liberal media pretend that Chris Christie is the kryptonite of Donald Trump. You already seen people saying, "Oh, Trump is afraid of Chris Christie. Chris Christie's going to bring up these prosecutions. He's gonna own Donald Trump. And this is another reason why I personally want to see Trump in the debate, because I would love to see Trump go against it, because I think he could destroy him. And I'm talking about in terms of what the Republican feel with it. This and already seen this. They already beta tested this line, and he's gonna use it, guys. I promise you. Christie is gonna bring up this MSNBC shit, and Donald Trump is gonna say this. Yeah, that sounds great if you're trying to win a contract with MSNBC. If you're trying to be a Democratic Party nominee, that sounds great. So he's gonna accuse Christie, and Ron DeSantis' campaign already floated this. They're gonna say that Christie is literally running to get an MSNBC position. And fam, that may not land with you, may not land with Democrats, but that shit is gonna destroy Christie in the Republican primary. Trump is gonna say, "What you can do?" Trump is gonna say, "What are you doing? Running to be an MSNBC analyst? Oh, so you listening to Rachel Maddow now?" So he said that Christie is gonna get destroyed in the platform in which he's running on. So I don't think Christie is as strong as an anti-Trump guy as people think he is. And when I say people, I'm talking about the cult liberal bubble, whatever. But I'll pass you, CJ. I say you put a tweet up here. I'll pass to you.
Yeah, so I do want to show a couple of because I'm gonna cut the segment a little bit short just for the sake of time, and so we can get to some of our other segments. So it looks like Donald Trump will be skipping the GOP debate in Milwaukee. It's too bad, because he likely would have been asked directly about some of the crimes of which he stands accused.
You guys see how easy Trump...
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, sorry. Go ahead, CJ. Go ahead.
And he could have further incriminated himself on national TV. This is liberal brain rot. To think this is the reason that he's, because he's going to be asked about the crimes. Do you understand? The audience of Republicans don't even find these charges credible. It's something like 2/3. So it's
a lot of
this
independents
is such a liberal brain rot. Go ahead, Nick.
A lot of independents don't either, and this is political fan fiction. Like, we've seen Trump swat away these accusations all the time, and he brings up the hypocrisy and weaponization of the government that we know, and this is why Christie is going to get buried. And this is why I'm interested to see if my theory is correct or not, because once Donald Trump brings up the weaponization of the government by Joe Biden, then you have Christie defending the Biden administration as a Republican. How is that going to go? Well, like, once again, you're going to have TYT. They're going to do video. TYT, David Doe, they're going to do video. Christie destroys Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, in the Republican primary, and average people don't give a shit about anything he's saying. Because it's obvious that he's the plant used by the Democratic Party. Like, he was one of the most corrupt politicians that were responsible for the closing bridges. He was like, and we both believe that he's morally superior than Donald Trump, the guy that used to work for Donald Trump too. And now we all see that he's choosing a new political lane in order to find a grip as a new MSNBC analyst, as someone who's hired by some sort of Democratic think tank or some sort of he get a corporate gig because he followed the direction of the establishment. Like, these are the political calculations that Christie is making that the average people are gonna pick up on easily. But anyway, go ahead, CJ.
I'll finish a tweet, or perhaps that's the very reason he isn't showing up. His lawyers probably are very worried about what he might say. What do you think? Now, do you think George really believes that, or do you think he understands of his celebrityness and it's his job to push propaganda as being part of Hollywood? Like, do you think is more strategic, or do you think he's drinking the Kool-Aid of the Democratic Party?
When I say his tweets, I think he's drunk. He's like one of them day drinkers. Like, he one of them day drinking rich liberals. Because if you see his tweets, and we're gonna break down the NATO tweet later eventually. When you see his tweets, this motherfucker is clearly drunk, just tweeting like he live tweeting Rachel Maddow and shit. He's like, yeah, god damn it, like I can tell, like his tweets are so unhinged. So I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. Glenn Greenwald points out people like George Takei and John Cusack, who had beef with RBN recently. Yeah, these washed up Hollywood liberals, the only way they get attention and the acclaim they used to get is by just becoming ranked Democratic operatives. And that is the road that George Takei has taken. He is now apologizing for, I don't want to spoil the segment, but he apologized for the same military industrial complex that locked his people up in internment camps. Like, embarrassing shit here. But anyway, I don't want to spoil it. Let's move on.
Shit. So that's the version. That's is he Chinese? Is he Chinese? Like, I think he's Japanese. Japanese. I'm sorry.
If I remember right, he got into political activism. He was considered progressive back in the day, speaking out against war. And his whole thing was, my family was put in Japanese internment camps.
Part of his
so
history.
now progressives, and now he went from being. And when I say progressive, guys, I use that really relatively. You know, what I'm saying that because that's the narrative around. I'm not saying that because I agree with it, but the narrative around him was he was a progressive, anti-war freedom fighter, liberal, because he had family that were part of Japanese internment camps. He went from that, now he's a military shill, a military industrial complex shill. It's embarrassing shit. Like the same way that I look at Negroes in our community that support NATO.
I was just about to do that. I was just about to say, like, so this is Japanese people's version of what we call the house Negro.
Yeah,
like,
that's
we have plenty of them who start out good. I mean, what's the John something that just died? The black guy, he was good for civil rights back with MLK, and then when he got to Congress, he was sell out. He was getting one of the biggest takers of I think it was medical industry money. He was a big taker. I think his name was John something. I forget his name. But anyway, so George Takei is similar to that. But here's another celebrity, and this is why I asked you the question, Nick, because a lot of celebrities pushing this shit hard, and that's why I said, do they believe this? Because it's weird that it's all.
We talking about John Lewis?
Yeah, John Lewis is his name. Yeah, he was another. Yeah, he was another person who started out.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yep.
You trying to do good, and then you later in life they fall off. They get tired. I mean, we see this so often. But let me read Stephen Key's tweet. Trump too chicken shit to debate. Guess he's not an alpha male after all. Like, what does that do? Like, what does that do?
CJ, you see how they are more than happy to lower themselves to MAGA level, right? Because they would deem Trump supporters as irredeemable, childish people. But you see how they are more than happy to engage in Trump-like tactics, right? And this is and you even noticed it with the nicknames, right? You notice how they try to call like Janky Loser Don, Loser Donald, and all these liberals and Mehdi Hassan will do the same thing. You make all these nicknames up, mocking these people as well. They are high-key mad that Donald Trump did it first, to be honest, guys. They are mad that Donald Trump was the guy who came out without care about civility politics, going after his enemies and burning them. And they are honestly jealous of Donald Trump. And they actually, Jimmy says it in a really good way. They see Donald Trump in their shadow. They are exactly like Donald Trump. I think that's a great way to put it. And they're just mad that Donald Trump came out and he was more successful at doing what they always wanted to do. They always felt constrained by civility politics. Remember, these people are part of the managerial class as well. They also millionaires. They also billionaires. So they see Donald Trump not following the same rules that they do. They got opposed civility politics. They see this rogue motherfucker saying whatever they want, and they see him not face consequences in their eyes. And there's a part of the ruling class that's jealous of that. Anyway, I'll spare you guys. But
I agree.
But go ahead, CJ.
No, I do agree, and I think that's part of his appeal. Because I mean, he has a lot of rich backers, the pillow guy. So
once again, I must say in the Stephen King tweet response, this is not going to land. You don't have to go back to it, but it's not going to land to infer that Trump is a coward because he's not debating, which I agree with. But you cannot be a Biden supporter who says that because Biden refuses to debate RFK Jr. and Marianne Williamson. So you can't say that. But anyway, they don't care about how open.
Because then let's take through all of the logic because we need to be able to pre-answer. So, but so and so's polling at Ron DeSantis is polling at 17%, and RFK is polling at 20%.
Exactly.
What's your point?
Exactly.
What's your point? Oh, but Christie's pointing at 3%. How is he on a debate stage? You want him to debate Donald Trump? Then why can't you have Marianne Williamson, who initially was pointing at 3% to do that? So what are you talking about? So that's what I'm saying. You can't talk yourself out of that. If there's a reason why Trump should debate, because he has people on a debate stage that's polling at 1% and 3%, and somebody polling at 19%, the same thing Joe Biden has. So it's literally something they can't talk themselves out of. This is the last tweet to close this segment, because it shows what he actually tweeted on his actual page. And this is tweeted out by, I don't know who this guy is, but I can shout him out. Mike Singleton. I think he might be a journalist somewhere. Yeah, senior executive, NBC. He says, Trump confirms he will not be doing the debate and adds, quote, the public knows who I am, end quote. Yes, we do. And that's why you'll never be president again. See you at the Fulton County Jail later. You see this lip, bro? This is what this shit is really about. Like, so let me ask this. It's a rhetorical question, but let's say they go through the trials, Nick. He's convicted everywhere. Now he's in jail. Does that give you health care? Does that lower your prices of your food? Does that stop them from sending billions of dollars to Ukraine? What does that do for you? You got these people getting you to buy into their ruling class squabbles instead of fighting or talking about or being engaged into the things that affect you personally. But let me read this last tweet, Nick, and then if you have any final comments, we'll close and go on to the next segment. New CBS poll just out, and this is Donald Trump speaking. This is him on Truth Social. Just out, has me leading. It's so funny, Nick, and I'll have to say this. All you shit libs wanted him off of Twitter. You guys keep going on Truth Social to get his freaking stuff and bringing them back over here.
Yes. That's exactly the point I made to someone before. I like they said we need Trump banned on Twitter. That's such a great point because it makes no sense. They go on Truth Social.
Then they go and bring it over here.
Screenshot it, put it on Twitter. Like, just bring your Twitter account back. Same step. Same step.
But it's their way of not being challenged, because all he would have to do is quote tweet this and blow this person and also, like, ratio him. Go ahead.
And also it's a flex of their power. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yes, it's not about silencing Trump message because they quote tweet, they screenshot his message and talk about it on Twitter. They talk about all his Truth Social messages on Twitter and X right now as it is. So it's not about suppressing the message. It's about the power. Like, nigga, I banned you. We can ban you, sir. We can ban people who believe like you. It's about sending the message because they're not even accomplishing what they claim they are accomplishing here. But anyway, they did the same thing with Alex Jones. Like, Alex Jones is like the perfect example of how deplatforming don't work. So they banned Alex Jones from YouTube, Facebook, and people thought he was ruined. And then I learned, you guys remember the Sandy Hook lawsuit or whatever? I learned that Alex Jones was making like $800,000 per week, fam, on his website. Like, this motherfucker was extremely. He was making more money than Rachel Maddow. He was making like $800,000, and I might be understating it. It's something insane, like $800,000 per week. Nigga, I'm talking about $2.5 million per month. Some shit like that. It was crazy the amount of money he brought in after he was deplatformed from YouTube. Because then after he was deplatformed, he made more money because he made his website. He got ad revenue. He started selling shit on his website. He became more wealthy and more powerful after deplatforming. So it doesn't work at all. Anyway, I'm getting on a tangent, but that's to your point you made.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I'll read the tweet. New CBS poll.
Alex Jones, sorry, CJ. I just want to correct. Sorry, CJ, but Alex Jones makes over $100 million a year.
What?
So I think I understated. It might have been something like $800,000. I gotta look at the exact number. I remember I saw they read it during the trial. I was like, what? I had no idea he made that much money. But anyway, I believe you, Emily. We may fact check it here later. But sorry, CJ, I won't continue. I just want
maybe it's like 800 an episode since we're talking about him being deplatformed.
Yeah,
maybe something like
that.
That's
probably what I heard.
Maybe it's an episode. Yeah,
it probably was per episode. Yeah, but go ahead, CJ.
But yeah, it says, and this is Trump talking. It says just out. It says new CBS poll just out has me leading the field by he put legendary numbers. Trump 62%, 46 points above DeSanctimonious, and you see how he uses his pettiness all the time, and this like he's like that's a regular tweeter. You get what I'm saying? That's like a person who's on social media. So who is crashing like an ailing bird. And then Vivek, because I don't know how to say his last name, 7%, Pence 5%, Scott 3%, Haley 2%, and sloppy Christie 2%. And then I don't know what Ada Hutchison and quotes. I don't know what he means by that, but 1%. The public knows. Oh, I know he's using that as some. I don't know.
He need to work on that one. He need to work on that one. That's one. The Ada Hutchison nickname is pretty weak.
Yeah. The public knows who I am and what a successful presidency I had with energy independence, strong borders, and military, biggest ever tax and regulation cuts, no inflation, strongest economy in history, and much more. I will therefore not be doing the debates. Now, he didn't say doing the debate. He said debates with an S. So does that mean, and this will be the final close, do you think he's not attending any debates? If the numbers in the polls never change, Nick, why would he attend any debate?
Yeah. If he said debates with an S, man, like, once again, people, you gotta admit it's kind of weak. It's kind of weak, but once again, he uses the same excuse that Nancy Pelosi used it. And I'm heading in the polls, so I don't debate people. Are we okay with Nancy Pelosi using that excuse? Because that's essentially what Donald Trump is doing. I want to see him discuss Ukraine with imagine he had a conversation with Mike Pence about Ukraine. That'd be interesting. Like, that's why I personally want to see it. And I have this position because no matter how you feel about Trump, it is not in our best interest as workers to have less conversations. Like, these ruling class people have to be forced to defend their policies. I called out AOC because AOC is afraid to debate Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, what, you guys are cowards. Like, our ruling class is made up of people who can't defend their positions, can't defend where they are at. And they should be forced to do that. And Tucker Carlson, we will see how he conducts his interview with Donald Trump. If he gives Donald Trump a softball interview, which I think he will because he's done it before, he needs to be held accountable. Like, because he's interviewing a lead candidate for president who went after Julian Assange. So we're going to see if you really believe in that, Tucker, because Tucker Carlson apparently had his mind change on Julian Assange. So is he going to ask Trump about it? We see. If he don't, it's a waste of time. Is he going to ask about Trump about the fact that he hired Christie? Like, because people keep talking about the fact that Trump in the swamp and Trump supporters hate Christie, but Trump hired the motherfucker. You know what I mean? Trump hired all these swamp monsters. So is there going to be a question? Someone need to ask him that question. Tucker never asked him that question. Like, hey, man, you say you're anti-war. Why hire John Bolton? Why hire Mike Pompeo? Are you going to change? Are you going to do something different? So that's why I'm more interested in the debate, because if Tucker not asking those questions, that shit is meaningless to me. You know what I mean? And I call out people who do softball interviews for politicians. We call out Kyle and Crystal for doing softball interviews for Marianne Williamson. And we will see. I'm not saying anything definitively because I'll look stupid if Tucker did give him a hardball interview. But I'm telling you, if he did, it would be the first time. If he does grill him, it would be the first time, because Tucker did many softball interview with Trump, and that shit need to be criticized, because independent media, we get criticized if anyone do a softball interview. I don't know why the people in corporate media and any millionaires are exempt from that. These Trump sycophants, like I see like the right-wing media, and I see them, and they like fawn over Trump, and that's why I don't understand. Like, you don't see left-wing media, independent left media, at least RBN faction, fawning on all these people, but the entire like right media infrastructure, including media, will fawn over Trump, ask no hard questions, and that shit is disgusting. That's part of why the United States media apparatus is weak.